Today, we're diving deep into history to unravel a less-known chapter about the Irish, the history of Irish slavery, or as it's often referred, the Irish servitude. We invite you to join us as we explore the origins, reasons, and outcomes of this brutal chapter and the lives of those affected. Let's jump right in. In the 17th century, as we hit the subscribe button, England was embroiled in several conflicts, both within and outside its borders. Ireland, under English control, was profoundly affected. Following the 1641 Irish Rebellion and subsequent Cromwellian conquest, the English initiated a policy of forced transportation, sending tens of thousands of Irish people across the Atlantic. This forced labor system's victims were often Irish prisoners of war, political prisoners, or those accused of crimes. Many were sentenced to indentured servitude, a term that doesn't fully capture the brutal reality these individuals faced. Upon arrival in the New World, often Barbados or Jamaica, these people were sold at auction. They were forced to work under harsh conditions, mainly in the lucrative sugar industry. Their rights were minimal, the mortality rate was high, and the prospects for survival bleak. An Irish servant's life was one of hard labour, malnutrition, and cruel punishment. They worked from dawn till dusk, 6 days a week, and their diet was limited to meagre rations. While they could technically earn their freedom after a predetermined period, usually 7 to 10 years, many did not live long enough to see that day. Comparisons between Irish servitude and African chattel slavery often arise, and while there are similarities, there are significant differences. Unlike African slaves, Irish servants were not considered property in perpetuity, and their children did not inherit their status. They had the hope of freedom, although in most cases they died before ever getting there. Yet in some respects their situation was even more precarious. Their servitude was tied to military and political endeavours, and their perceived disloyalty to the English crown often led to particularly harsh treatment. So while the people often tend to argue today about which slavery is worse than for the men who worked on the fields, the outcome was often the same: worked to death under brutal conditions. Over time, the scale of Irish servitude decreased. England began to rely more heavily on African chattel slavery, which was seen as more profitable and sustainable. By the late 17th century, the majority of forced labourers in English colonies were Africans, marking the end of the mass forced transportation of the Irish. But the legacy of this period lived on. Many Irish who survived their terms of servitude remained in the Caribbean or the American colonies, their lives forever altered. Their descendants are still there today, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of hardship and adversity. Thank you for watching.